I never imagined I'd fall for her. The stunning VIP turned out to be a heart-wrenching secret. I will never forget the day everything fell apart. The sky was a bruised purple, clouds heavy with impending rain. I shuffled through the crowded gala, my heart pounding like a drum. The music thumped in my chest, each beat resonating with the growing unease in my stomach. Then I saw her. She stood out like a flame in the dark. Her laughter bubbled up, bright and contagious, cutting through the noise. A sparkling gown hugged her curves, catching the dim light like a star born on earth. Every eye in the room turned to her, but it was as if I were the only one who existed. Just days before, I sat in my small apartment, walls closing in with every breath. The phone calls had become desperate pleas. My mother's voice echoed in my mind, tinged with worry. You need to focus on your future, find a real job, settle down. But how could I think about anything but her? I leaned against the polished bar, sweat forming on my palms. Around me, whispers floated like smoke. Who is she? Where did she come from? Did you hear about her past? My heart raced. There was something electric about her that felt dangerously close to my own struggles. As I approached, she turned, our eyes locking. A jolt shot through me, a flicker of recognition. But was it? Or just fantasy? Her smile dimmed for a split second, a shadow passing over her features. That moment curled my stomach into knots. With a soft voice, she asked, "What brings you here?" My throat tightened. I wanted to be bold, brave, to tell her everything. Instead, I stammered, just looking for inspiration. A hint of sadness flickered in her gaze. Inspiration, huh? Sometimes it hides in the most unexpected places. The words hung heavy in the air, as if we both knew there was more beneath the surface, something unspoken. And there it was, the first hint of her secret. My stomach flipped. The music faded into a distant murmur, and all I could see was her. But before I could ask, her eyes darted to the entrance. Tension crackled like static electricity. A man in a sharp suit stepped inside, his presence commanding the room. I could feel her momentarily retreating, the light behind her dimming like a flickering bulb. Then, she whispered, "I need to go." Panic flooded my veins. I grasped her trembling hand, firm yet gentle. "Wait. Please. Don't go." The weight of her stare sank deep, layers of pain and fear beneath the surface. A heartbeat thundered in my ears as she pulled back. She inhaled, the silence stretching painfully between us, and the world around us faded to silence. Would I ever see her again? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. The air was thick with tension as I watched her slip away, the vibrant light that once radiated from her fading into the shadows of the grand hall. The man in the suit, a figure I could only assume was ominous, seemed to pull her back into a world I knew nothing about, a world where I was irrelevant. My heart sank at the realization that I had to let her go, even if it felt like tearing a part of myself away in the process. In the days that followed, her absence weighed heavily on my heart. My mother's voice continued to echo in my mind, "You need to focus on your future," but all I could think about was her, the way her laughter danced like sunlight, the way her presence wrapped around me like a familiar embrace. Inspiration was nowhere to be found, swallowed by the emptiness she left behind. That I convinced myself it was time to move on, to bury the memory of that night beneath my everyday struggles. Yet every waking moment was marked by fleeting glimpses of her in crowds, in the laughter of strangers, in the familiar rhythm of the city. On an especially bleak Tuesday afternoon, I sat in my favorite coffee shop, staring down at my untouched latte. The shadows on the walls seemed to echo my own despair, and I felt trapped in my own routine. Just then, a soft chime rang from the door, drawing my attention. A woman entered, her features blurred by the afternoon light pouring through the glass. My heart raced. It was her, an apparition of all I had lost. But when she turned slightly, a pang of realization hit me. It wasn't her, it was someone else entirely, with a warmth that felt eerily familiar yet distinctly different. "Hey, mind if I join you?" she asked, breaking into my haze. I looked up, startled. There was an inviting smile on her face, and the kind of spark that reminded me of a flickering candle. I nodded, gratitude spilling over the desperation within me. "I saw you sitting alone and thought maybe you could use some company," she said. Her voice was light and genuine. It was refreshing. "Thanks," I whispered, still entranced by the kind eyes that held an unexpected warmth. "I could definitely use it." She introduced herself as Jess, and we fell into easy conversation. Each word became a bridge across the aching chasm in my heart, but as we spoke, I felt a jagged awareness in the back of my mind. Each laugh from her lips echoed my longing for the woman whose absence haunted me daily. I tried to squash down the thought, but it lingered, twisting uncomfortably within me. "Do you believe in fate?" Jess asked, her eyes glimmering with curiosity. "What do you mean?" I replied, intrigued. Sometimes I think we meet certain people in our lives for a reason. Like something inside nudges us toward them," she said, tilting her head thoughtfully. I froze, her words striking a chord deep within my chest. Could this be destiny, or was I merely seeking solace in a warm smile to banish the ghost of the woman who had unintentionally captivated me? Just as I began to find some comfort in Jess' company, my phone buzzed in my pocket, and I fished it out, my heart plunging as I saw the name on the screen. Unknown. Against my better judgment, I answered. "Hello?" I said, my voice trembling slightly. "Is this?" The voice on the other end was shaky. It was unfamiliar, though cold recognition gripped me. "I have information about her." My heart leapt. "Who? What do you mean?" Panic mixed with a sliver of hope. "Meet me where you first met her, tonight at 8. You'll want to hear what I have to say." Before I could respond, the line went dead. I froze, my throat going dry. The longing I felt for her now twisted into a new, urgent intensity. I looked up to find Jess watching me, concern etched on her face. "Are you okay?" she asked, and the warmth was overshadowed by a new whirlwind of fear and uncertainty. "I need to go," I said, urgency pulling at me. I could feel the pull of fate once more, but this time it felt more like a noose around my neck. As I rushed out, her voice trailed after me, confused and worried. "Wait, what just happened?" I ran into the bustling streets, each step taking me closer to that fateful meeting, visions of her flickering to life in my memory. What revelation awaited me, and would it bring me closer to her, or farther away into the dark? As the city enveloped me in its chaotic energy, every corner I turned felt charged with the weight of anticipation. My mind raced, the chilling gravity of the unknown meeting forward looming large. I weaved through throngs of people, heart drumming in my chest like a warning bell. What information could this stranger possess? Suddenly, the streets buzzed with a new kind of electricity, indistinguishable from the anxious flutter that had settled in my gut. Arriving at the park where I had first laid eyes on her, I scanned the area, every shadow seeping dread into my bones. The golden hour cast an ethereal glow around me, a cruel reminder of how beautiful moments could swiftly unravel into something dark and tangled. Despite the inviting warmth of the waning sunset, an icy grip wrapped around my heart as I found a bench, the very one where she had first laughed, her joy lighting a spark in my soul amidst a sea of mundane realities. And then, there he was, a man emerging from the softness of the twilight, his figure blending into the encroaching dusk. He wore a dark coat, his expression unreadable. I approached cautiously, the energy between us thickening with each step. "Are you him?" he asked, voice low but piercing. "The one who spoke with her that night? What do you know about her?" I demanded, a sense of urgency pushing me to confront this man, who could either unravel or weave together the fragmented pieces of my heart. More than you can imagine, he replied, a flicker of something behind his eyes, empathy, maybe fear. But you need to be prepared for the truth. As he spoke, the gravity of his words sent chills through me. What did you mean? What happened to her? Not here, he said, glancing around as if the shadows might overhear our conversation. Follow me. Reluctantly, I followed him through winding paths and hidden corners of the park where the light barely reached. Each step felt heavier than the last, as dread twisted with anticipation inside me. What lay buried beneath the surface would emerge, and would it bring me closer to her or shatter me entirely? He finally stopped near a quiet clearing, the last rays of sun painting the sky with blood-red strokes. I knew her before you did, he confessed, a hint of sadness in his voice. But I also know the risks that came with that life. It's a world filled with secrets, tell me. I urged. What happened? Where is she now? He hesitated, heavy silence consuming us before he finally spoke, his voice barely above a whisper. She's in danger. That night, the one you remember so vividly, wasn't just a passing moment for her. It was an escape. The man in the suit, he was not just a stranger. He meant to pull her back into the chaos. She fought hard, but she can only stay away for so long. Every word he uttered felt like shards of glass piercing through the fog of my hope. What do you mean, stay away? There are forces at play, a world intertwined with powerful people and dangerous games. She had to disappear for her safety, and for yours. My heart sank further, the truth spiraling into despair. But I can help her. I can protect her. You have no idea what you're up against. His voice shook as if battling the memories. The deeper she goes, the more dangerous she becomes. You can either walk away, or brace yourself for a fight you may not be ready for. Tears blurred my vision as I fought through the whirlwind emotions. An agonizing tug-of-war within me raged, one part anxious to save her, the other paralyzed by the fear of what that might cost. Please, just tell me how to find her, I pleaded. I can't lose her. I want. Before he could respond, a low growl of a car engine roared nearby, shattering the tension in the air. My heart raced as headlights illuminated the area, casting ominous shadows beneath the trees, as if they heralded a storm. It's too late, the man said, stepping back, his gaze filled with dread. You have to run. They've found you. The suddenness of his warning felt like ice down my spine, and without thinking, I turned to flee. But then I heard a soft voice calling my name, echoing like a lost melody that made me halt. Is that? I whispered, hope igniting against the darkness. But just as I turned, a figure emerged from the shadows, heart-stopping in its familiarity. It was her, the woman who lingered in my dreams and haunted my waking hours. And yet, she appeared weary, a silent weight resting upon her shoulders. She locked eyes with me, and in that instant, I knew nothing would ever be the same again. The man took a step forward, tension crackling in the air. You shouldn't have come here, he warned, but I was already losing myself in the depths of her gaze. The world around us faded, leaving only the raw awareness of what we had lost and what may still be slipping away. Then, behind her, the silhouette of a figure emerged, tall, menacing, cloaked in shadows. My heart raced, instinct screaming at me to protect her, but my limbs felt frozen in disbelief. Run! I shouted, yet my voice trembled as the reality of our situation threatened to drown me. In that breathless moment, nothing felt certain anymore. Would fate give us another chance? Or was this the brink of our separation, the parting under the weight of a reckoning neither of us could escape? The shadows thickened around us, as if the night itself sought to seal our fates. She stood there, at the crossroads of my desire and fear, tangled in a web of uncertainty that seemed impossibly fragile, yet strong enough to bind us both in an unseen hold. Behind her, the looming figure materialized fully, an embodiment of menace, and a chill ran through me, turning adrenaline to ice. Leave us! I shouted, desperation lacing my voice. But my words hung in the air, frail and unwelcome against the weight of his silence. She stepped closer, the vulnerability radiating off her like a beacon, yet the concern etched into her brow only deepened the ache within me. "Please, just go," she whispered, her voice a soft plea that felt like a dagger to my heart. "You don't know what you're dealing with. No. I can't lose you again. Not like this." My breath choked against the enormity of my feelings cascading into a desperate plea. Before she could reply, the figure stepped into full view, revealing not the masked menace I had envisioned, but instead an unfamiliar but striking face. Deep-set eyes and rugged features suggested a life lived on the edge of danger. "You need to understand one thing," he said, voice a low rumble that sent a shiver through me. "She belongs to a world where choices aren't her own anymore." It felt like a punch to my gut. "You think I don't know that? But what if I'm willing to fight for her?" The man drew closer, and I caught a glimmer of something in his gaze: acknowledgement, perhaps respect, but also a warning. "Fighting isn't always the answer," he muttered. "Sometimes, it's about survival." "Survival? What about love? Does love mean nothing in your world?" I felt the heat of anger rising, tinged with the remnants of despair. "Don't tell me you're willing to throw that away." She looked at me, a torrent of emotions brewing beneath her surface, confusion overlapping with a flicker of determination. "You shouldn't be here. This is my fight, and you need to get out while you still can." "It's too late for that," the man interjected. "You're involved now, and there's no backing out. They've seen you together." A sickening feeling knotted my stomach as I processed the implications. "What does that mean? Who are they?" "They're not just powerful," the man snapped. "They play with people's lives like pawns on a chessboard. Your connection to her puts you at risk." The word risk clawed at the edges of my mind, wrapping tightly around my thoughts, but it was her voice that broke through. "You think I haven't fought long and hard to come back to you? I'm not going to have that taken away again, not by fear." "Then we fight together," I insisted, the resolve in her eyes mirrored in my own. "But we can do it on our terms. Help me understand how to protect you." "Look around," the man urged. "Time isn't our ally. If you both are still standing here in 5 minutes, you might not be standing at all. They won't wait for you to sort through your feelings." A cacophony of revving engines punctured the air, and shadows began to emerge from the darkness, moving with intent. My heart raced. Each thud against my chest was a countdown. "Streetlights flickering," the man murmured, his gaze darting toward the horizon, teeth clenched. "We have moments, we act now." "Wait. I need something. Tell me how to find you, how to keep you safe." I shouted, but she took a slow step back, the decision weighing heavily in her eyes. "Trust me. No matter what happens, I will fight my way back to you," she replied, voice trembling. "But if you're caught?" Her words trailed off, suffocated by the impending chaos surging around us. "I can't lose you," I choked out against the tightening grip of reality. In that heartbeat, a decision crystallized in her gaze: she would stand beside me, unwilling to let the suffocating shadows claim any part of our fight. Together, we faced the darkness ahead, believing that love could conquer the abyss. Then, just as the first figure broke from the tree-line, I felt the rush of air ruffle my hair and the bitter taste of dread settled upon my tongue. "Now!" the man roared, and before I knew it, we were running, the echoes of our footsteps drumming a frantic beat against the night. But as I darted through the underbrush, panic clawing at my resolve, an icy voice cut through the dark like a knife. "Leaving so soon?" came a silky tone from the shadows, laced with familiarity, transforming my admiration into dread. I froze in place, heart racing, as the figure stepped fully into the light. It was her. Another version of her. The one I had been drawn to before, with that stunning smile that masked layers of secrets. She looked ready to shatter everything we had built, her eyes danced with malicious delight. "Did you really think you could escape our world?" she taunted, a smirk curling her lips, and in that instant, I understood the depths of the nightmare that lay before us. The earth below me felt as though it was collapsing, the weight of her presence smashing into me like a tidal wave. "No, it can't be." I gasped, but the truth stood grinning in front of me, radiating a chilling kind of certainty. The reminder of everything I had fought to hold on to, now precarious and fragile. Did you think I wouldn't come for you? The other her purred, eyes glimmering with menace. Every choice you thought was yours has been dictated by the world you refuse to understand. Her voice caressed the edges of my consciousness, and I could feel the internal battle raging within me, the desire for understanding, set against the instinct to protect the love I had been reunited with. Stay away from her, I warned, positioning myself between my love and the sinister reflection. The underlying desperation clawed at my throat. I needed to protect her, but how could I shield her if I didn't understand the threat? The wicked version laughed, a sound so rich and dark that it sent chills rippling down my spine. You think this is about love? No, darling. This is a game of survival, one you've unwittingly been drawn into. With each word, the shadows around us shifted, coiling around her like a protective cloak. I glanced back. My love was still steadfast, courage blending with sheer terror in her eyes. Don't listen to her, she shouted, voice strong yet trembling. She operates in a different realm, one I've fought to escape. This is our chance to break free, together. But the twisted her merely shrugged, impervious to their declaration of partnership. You have another choice, you know. Leave him behind and join me where real power resides. It won't just be survival, it'll be thriving. With me, you'll understand your potential. Panic surged through me, as intense as the surging motors revving behind us. We don't need power like that. My challenge nearly knocked the breath from my lungs. What's the price of such things? You'd lose yourself. Her eyes brightened with a wicked light, there was a kind of hunger beneath her smug grin. You're still so naive. Power is everything. And love? It's just a fleeting distraction. The air thickened with pressure, the shadows and sounds converging around us. Every moment dragged out like eternity while uncertainty spun into an elaborate web, wrapping tightly around my sanity. Whatever she offers, it can't compare to what we have. My love shouted, stepping forward to grip my arm, grounding me as hope flickered back to life. There's more to this than what we see, more than power. We make the choice together. Just then, the echoes of footsteps from the approaching shadows entered my awareness, spiraling toward us, but they were different now. They pulsed with the unyielding hunger of anticipation. I caught a glimpse of faces hidden in the murk, a chorus of lives ready to disrupt. Are you willing to sacrifice everything for something so fragile? The sinister her crooned, taking a step closer, measuring every word with deadly precision. Love can blind you. It can break you. The specter of doubt hovered, curling around my thoughts like fog. As if sensing my hesitation, the malevolent version continued, join my side, and you won't merely survive, you'll thrive in the darkness. You can be free from it all. No, I breathed, my certainty solidifying like the breaking dawn peeking through the clouds overhead. True freedom lies in facing the darkness, not embracing it. But as I spoke those words, I saw a flicker of something change in the other her's gaze. Very well. You've made your choice, she announced, as sinister promises laced themselves in the quiet between us. Run. I yelled at my love, pure instinct propelling my voice into the fray. Now. And in an explosion of motion, we took off together, tearing through the encroaching shadows that threatened to pull us under. The engine roars intensified around us, a discordant melody to our frantic breaths as we faded into the depths of the encroaching woods. But as we dashed forward, weaving under branches and stepping over roots, my heart raced with a new fear. Each step felt more uncertain as the night deepened, and an unshakable thought crept in alongside the pounding of my heart. Was this fight even winnable? Then we stumbled into a clearing where the moon illuminated a hidden path behind the remnants of an ancient tree. The winds whispered secrets, fluttering dead leaves like ghosts around us. This way. I grasped her hand, pulling her toward it, holding on tightly as though she could slip away, but then we halted. At the edge of the clearing, a figure stood, silhouetted against the moonlight, edge defined by malevolence. You're running toward an abyss, it said, voice echoing haunting familiarity. And as the figure stepped into the light, I felt my pulse explode, recognizing it was someone I thought I'd lost forever. The cousin who had vanished years ago, taken by the darkness I was now trying to flee, and with them, an unexpected and heart-wrenching truth unfolded in my chest. The ties to the world I thought I could defy were deeper than I ever imagined. Are you here to save us or destroy us? My voice trembled with the weight of disbelief and dread swirling within me. The abyss was closing in, and I now stood at the precipice of a choice that might shatter every thread of love and connection I had fought to preserve. The breath hung in the air like a shroud, blurring the boundaries between fear and familiarity. My cousin, once a beacon of my childhood, now appeared as a specter caught between light and shadow. The last vestiges of hope swirled in my chest, choked by confusion and despair. Why? Why now? I managed to stammer, my voice a trembling echo of disbelief. Because you need to see, to understand the truth that's kept you shackled to this path of destruction. The words slid out like jagged glass, cutting straight to the heart of my uncertainty. My cousin's eyebrows furrowed as pain mingled with something darker, a knowing that made it impossible to look away. What do you mean? My love squeezed my hand tighter, anchoring me in place as dread enveloped us both. What truth? My cousin stepped closer, pushing through the shadows with deliberate intent. The truth is that this world doesn't abide by the rules of our childhood fantasies. The darkness isn't merely a threat, it's a part of us, embedded in our very essence. The ambiguous weight of those words hung there, as grotesque as the memories of laughter we once shared. Stop. You're hurting us. My love interjected, her voice steady, even in the face of impending chaos. We won't allow it to control us. We choose love, love. The bitter laugh that escaped my cousin was both sorrowful and haunting. It's a weapon. You think you can walk away from this unscathed? Love will betray you when you need it the most. The shadows pulsated, shifting under the moon's light, hungry to consume everything we held dear. I fought back the rising tide of despair, but it gnawed at my insides, relentless in its desire. What do you want? I pleaded, eyes darting between the two formidable figures looming before me. What I want is irrelevant, my cousin replied, a flicker of vulnerability sweeping through their hardened exterior. What matters is the reality we're tied to. You still don't understand the extent of the darkness, do you? And to love someone here, the pain surfaced afresh in their eyes. To truly love someone, means to prepare for the inevitable destruction that I felt, as though the ground beneath me shifted once more, a sinking sensation that rattled my core. The confrontation of truth frayed the edges of my resolve. No. That's not how it works. Love fights back, it refuses to give in. You can't let it consume you, then you must prepare yourself for the dawning truth, they whispered, eyes glimmering with a turmoil that mirrored mine. Because becoming who you truly are may mean losing everything. At that moment, a gust of wind swept through the clearing, a fierce herald of unbidden chaos. It snatched the air from my lungs and sent a cacophony of whispers swirling among us. I caught a glimpse of memories passing through the shadows, of laughter and warmth, all but drowned in the impending wave of darkness. And then, without warning, everything collapsed into chaos. The malevolent her emerged from the fringes of the clearing, shadows coalescing around her. Enough of this. It's time to seal your fate. She proclaimed, lashing out, fingers outstretched like claws eager to ensnare us. Run. I yelled, instinctively pulling my love closer, but the weight of despair clung heavily as the air thickened. Overwhelmed by fear and flashing chaos, racing back toward the moonlit path felt like running from destiny itself. The echoes of my cousin's hidden burdens weighed heavy in my mind, twisting the threads of my reality. Each hurried step turned frantic as I recognized the panic mirrored in my love's eyes, but even as I fled, my heart tugged me back. Please. I shouted at my cousin, join us. Help us fight back. I can't, they replied, stepping into the encroaching shadow. You still don't see this isn't just a choice. This world doesn't play fair. On one side, darkness. On the other, love. Two sides of the same coin. Only when it flips will you understand. And by then, it may be too late. With a desperate, shuddering breath, I turned to face my love, a shared understanding igniting the flicker of hope between us. We can't let this define us, I urged. Fear creeping ever closer at the corners of my mind. But before we could find our footing, reality shifted grotesquely, clearing our path with a brutality I was unprepared for. In a single breath, our worlds collided, and a revelation sliced through the dark. Everything you fought for is rooted in lies, my dear, the twisted version of my love cooed, slithering out from the shadows, a wicked smile twisting her features. And if you look closely, you'll see that the hands of fate are pulling strings you never anticipated. The ground beneath us erupted in an explosion of guttural laughter, and as my heart pounded with dread, I suddenly felt the cold reality of the abyss closing in. An unthinkable truth wedged into the corners of my mind. What if the one I loved was a puppet in this catastrophic game, too? And just as the air thickened with a suffocating tension, two shadows lunged forward, a distinct shout ringing through the chaos. I turned, heart racing, and in that moment, the world fractured around me. Would love prove to be our salvation or our doom? Whatever lay ahead, the next choice we made would seal our fate and perhaps rewrite what it meant to fight against the darkness once and for all. The darkness pressed in around us, thick and suffocating, as I regained my footing on the uneven ground. The laughter that erupted from the obscured corners felt like daggers against my resolve. I glanced at my love, her mystified gaze locked on the doppelganger that stood menacingly before us. My heart plummeted. I couldn't decipher the truth behind her eyes. Was this malice a reflection or a revelation? My love, stay close, I whispered, pulling her slightly behind me as I tried to shield her from the whirlwind of chaos. The shadows danced at the edges of our vision, painting a macabre picture of hope and despair, each oscillation drawing me deeper into the throes of uncertainty. Do you really think running will save you? The twisted version of my love said, her voice slithering through the air like a poisonous vine. You think you can escape the truth of what you are? We are bound together by a past that you can no longer deny. You've loved me, and a flicker of something unrecognizable flashed in her eyes. I was loved by you. Each word she uttered tangled with my soul, the threads connecting us fraying at alarming rates. I clenched my jaw, desperation compelling me to fight against what she represented. You're not her. You may wear her face, but you don't hold her heart. The doppelganger chuckled softly, a sound that sent shivers down my spine. And what about your heart? Isn't it just as twisted as the shadows around you? You've built your world on shattered dreams and false illusions. You think love can shield you from the darkness, but it only amplifies your screams. Stop. My love's voice cut through the oppressive weight of despair. She stepped forward, emerging from behind me, her eyes fiery with determination. You may look like me, but you will never understand the love we share. It's bigger than this, bigger than you. The doppelganger faltered for a brief moment, confusion flickering across her features. The shadows that circled her receded slightly, as if momentarily uncertain of their hold. Love, you think it's pure and unyielding. But if you dissect it, you'll see the festering wound that neither time nor distance can heal. No. My voice rebounded with a fierce intensity, fueled by the memories of laughter and warmth, the moments that stitched our hearts together. Love is the beacon that guides us through this darkness. It gives us strength, and in that instant, I saw a flicker of vulnerability in the doppelganger's eyes. For a heartbeat, she lingered there as if trapped into me, a reflection of what we had fought for, lost and reclaimed, the depths of darkness delineated by the light of our love, but it vanished as the shadows surged forward, relentless in their pursuit of despair. The ground trembled beneath us, cracking with the pressure of unspoken secrets threatening to explode. Enough. My love screamed, her voice trembling yet defiant. You think we're afraid of the truth? Show us then. We refuse to be mere pawns in your twisted game. The shadowed figure recoiled, the flicker of vulnerability replaced with palpable rage. You want the truth? When she raised her hand, the shadows solidified, swirling violently as they amplified her words. Then I will show you the extent of your naivety. There are secrets hidden deeper than your understanding, unforeseen strings woven into the tapestry of your lives. As she unleashed a torrent of darkness, a blinding light erupted beside us. A small figure, the embodiment of innocence, stepped forth, a child with a luminous aura that seemed impervious to the encroaching shadows. The flicker of a smile illuminated the air around them, cutting through despair like a ray of sunshine. "Mama." The child's voice sang through the chaos, its sing-song melody drawing my love's gaze. "Please don't be scared. Love is stronger than your fears." Surprise flickered across the doppelganger's features, and in that moment, I felt the thread of our connection tauten. What was once thought broken now hesitated at the cusp of revelation. "What is that? Why, how can you?" Before the doppelganger could finish her thought, my love reached for the child, her heart visibly swelling with hope. "But how can this be? How can you be here?" "I'm here to remind you of the truth," the child said, stepping between us and the encroaching shadows. "Love doesn't falter, even when the shadows lurk. Remember what it was like when you believed, Mama. When you loved in the face of darkness." My heart stuttered, a conflicting surge of emotions colliding within me, hope entwined with fear, tenderness shaded by uncertainty. I could hardly breathe as I gazed at my love, her eyes now glistening with unshed tears. The doppelganger's furious expression managed to hold its ground in the face of such vulnerability, but the shadows became erratic, circling her like an animal sensing danger. "This means nothing. You're playing with forces beyond your understanding. What if it is you who cannot comprehend true love?" My love countered, her voice echoing with newfound strength. "What if you're simply a shadow of what you once could have been?" With every word, the shadows trembled, shrinking, and I dared to hope maybe we could rewrite the fate that had entrapped us. But amidst this blossoming potential, the shadows surged violently, their hunger prompting a revelation more shocking than I could bear. "What if," the doppelganger whispered, eyes darkening with defeat, or perhaps realization, "what if we are not merely entwined by our past, but destined to become something greater together?" The world held its breath at the implications, and the air thickened with electric tension. The child turned, meeting my eyes, and the truth hit me like a tidal wave crashing over fragile shores. We were all connected, whether we welcomed it or not, fighting against an enemy that sought to tear us apart. The ground beneath our feet began to vibrate, with shadows once again dancing with fury but fading against the brilliance of love. The stakes had shifted, weaving a new understanding amongst the chaos that threatened to drown us. Yet, as clarity began to unfold, something far more sinister flickered in the distance, a remnant of the past I thought we had outrun. And as I turned to warn my love, the horrifying realization paralyzed me. The true darkness was not just behind us but within. Everything you value is built on a web of betrayals, and love. The doppelganger's wicked grin re-emerged, a double-edged sword. "You only think you can win." With one final pulse, the ground cracked open beneath the swirling shadows, plunging us into a chasm of unknown horrors. What awaited us below felt like the deepest abyss of the heart, a revelation so profound it threatened to tear apart everything we thought we knew. And as we fell, I realized that love's weapon could very well be our greatest curse. The abyss swallowed us, darkness wrapping around us like an oppressive quilt, the air heavy with despair. Falling felt eternal, a cruel reminder that the ground we had once stood on had shattered, leaving us suspended in a void where hope trembled against the encroaching shadows. That I clutched my love's hand tightly, our fingers interlocked like lifelines in a storm-tossed sea. "Hold on. We'll find a way," I shouted, the words barely rising above the howling wind of despair. I couldn't allow her to feel the weight of hopelessness that threatened to smother us. But as the darkness surrounded us, I couldn't shake the gnawing fear that I was failing her. Suddenly, light pierced the darkness, illuminating our descent. It pulsed irregularly, a mere heartbeat amid the suffocating blackness, drawing closer and closer. The world around us transformed into a kaleidoscope of shifting shadows and glimmers of light, each swirl whispering warnings of long-forgotten truths. Then, with a bone-rattling thud, we landed, not on the cold, hard ground I had anticipated, but on something soft, a patch of moss that stretched like an emerald carpet beneath our feet. The air, although thick with tension, sparkled with lingering tendrils of warmth. It was an otherworldly place, pulsing with a beating rhythm neither of us could fully comprehend. "Where are we?" my love murmured, her voice fragile yet fierce, echoing through the vast expanse of the unknown. I could see a flicker of determination igniting within her, the embers of hope stoked by our bond. That I don't know, I admitted, my own heart racing as I surveyed the surreal surroundings. But as my eyes adjusted, I began to see pathways carved through the spirit like trees reaching out towards the horizon. Beneath the boughs of one, a faint glow danced, its brightness intensifying with each tentative step we took. As we approached, we could see figures stirring among the shadows, hushed whispers and muted laughter. They beckoned us closer, and though fear tugged at my heart, curiosity sparked a flicker of excitement. Perhaps, in this realm of twisted realities, there lay answers we desperately sought. Who are they? My love asked, her breath quickening as she took in the sight of the ethereal beings. Their features were blurred, melding with the air, yet their eyes sparkled with genuine warmth, cutting through the unease that clung to us like a shroud. One way to find out, I said, urging her forward with hesitation battling against determination. As we stepped into the clearing, the light grew brighter, blinding yet inviting. The beings transformed, revealing familiar faces, flickers of our past. Friends, mentors, and loved ones we had lost over time materialized, their expressions a tapestry of emotions, woven with threads of laughter and sorrow. Welcome, one figure said, stepping forward. It was an old friend who had once been the centerpiece of joy in our lives, now standing resolute but with a gaze that seemed to pierce through the very essence of our sorrow. You have traveled far and faced many shadows. But this place, this liminality, holds what you both seek. What do you mean? My love asked, confusion mingling with hope. The answers to your struggles and the truths you have buried lie within you, but they must be drawn into the light. The being gestured towards a mesmerizing orb hovering delicately above us, pulsating with the energy that reflected our greatest joys and deepest fears. Please, show us. I implored, my heart racing with the urgency of our plight. The shadows we had encountered seemed distant now, but the taste of betrayal lingered, wrapping around me tightly, refused to release its hold. Gather your strength, decide together what truth you wish to grasp, the figure instructed, gesturing toward the orb, which began to shift and ripple with colors that waned from shadows to luminescence. We exchanged a glance, an unspoken understanding forming rapidly between us. Standing firm in our bond, we stepped forward together. We want to understand the darkness, what it seeks from us and what it has taken, my love declared, her voice steady. As we reached for the orb, a flash blinded us, memories flooded forward, raw and unfiltered. The laughter of lost friends and the echo of words left unsaid surged into our minds, each recollection cutting deeper than the last. Do you see? The being urged, their eyes twin mirrors reflecting our internal struggles. What you feared the most is the very thing that can unite you. The orb exploded into 1,000 fragments, refracting our memories into objects that twisted the reality we thought we knew. I stumbled back, caught off guard by the haunting images that painted the air like an elegant tapestry. Among them were moments of love, soft whispers in the night, unexpected kindnesses, gentle touches that stitched our wounds together. Yet there, too, came the sharper shadows, betrayals, moments of weakness, the ghost of choices made that echoed painfully